Hey guys, what is up? Cece and Mark back with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about tips for buying your first home.
It's been a while since we did a sit-down video, but we feel like we needed to get back to these in 2022. You guys have been asking for it. So I feel like with us really just getting settled into this home, this would be like the perfect opportunity to really talk about this being our second home, giving some advice on how to get your first home.
I feel like this is one of our top requested videos. People asking how we were able to not only purchase one home, but purchase two homes within about a 3.5 year time span. So I'm excited to bring you guys our top tips for home purchasing.
So before we get too deep into the video, it's a few things we want you guys to do for us. All right. So for one, don't forget to subscribe. We would love to have you guys be part of the family, be part of the community. We always uploading videos, and more videos like this are coming soon.
Absolutely. Also, make sure you're following us on Instagram. Same name, Bradley Party of 6. We do a lot of funny reels over there, so we really want you to be a part of that community as well.
And also, lastly, if you take anything from this video, please share it. Pass it along to a friend. Let somebody know. That's how we grow, by getting and touching more people. So, like I said, if you get any information on this video, don't forget to share it. All right? So, with no further ado, let's get into the video. So, like many people, when we decided about 2014, 15, when we rented our last home, that we were like, this is gonna be the last home we rent. We want to buy a home, and we wanted to taking the steps possible to purchasing our first home.
Yes. So one of the things, I guess the first thing we did, like you said, we set an intention, and we rented our house, and we had to have a 2-year lease, and we said at the end of this 2 years we were going to purchase our first home. We had no idea what we were going to purchase. I don't even think we had a good idea of our budget. Our financial situation was kind of changing a little bit. It was really in flux, and so we were really trying to figure all of this out alone.
Yeah. We opened a savings account with a local bank, and we was like, we're going to save this amount of money, and this is what we're going to use for our down payment. And we were like most people out there, we had no idea how to buy a home. The savings account we opened, we didn't even get the kicker for it because we didn't do all our research like most people don't know, because we don't know anything about buying a home. And we didn't even get I was like a bonus kicker we got if we used a certain loan or something like that. So it's a lot of steps. That's why we're doing this video, because it's a lot of things that you just don't know as a first time home buyer when you go to buy a house.
Yeah. So fast forward to 2017, and we finally started taking the home buying process seriously. We went to look at houses. I was doing a lot of research online as far as what we wanted, kind of our must-have list, and something that was what I thought within our price range. So if you go online and you try to calculate a monthly payment, it doesn't quite give you all the information, right? So I didn't know, say, what a $100,000 house costs monthly. I didn't know what a $150,000 house costs monthly, or what a $2,000 house costs monthly. So it was really hard to figure out what exactly our monthly budget was. In our head, we were just kind of like, oh my God, like if someone says something like a $300,000 house, we're like, we can't afford that. Like, that sounds astronomical. That sounds crazy. But in reality, it was right within our budget. But we ended up starting the home buying process. We ended up going to look at houses. We saw a few pre-existing homes, and then we kind of stumbled upon new construction. I didn't think we could afford new construction. After obviously talking to the sales agent,
I don't think we stumbled upon new construction. I think
we did.
You push new construction. She is being this.
No.
Because we initially maybe not where we ended up building that, but she always had an insight that she wanted to do and build, because we were looking at a different center, and it actually sold out. Like, we were like, we weren't ready to buy just yet because we had a little bit of time before our rent agreement was up, and they sold out all the plots at the place that we originally was going to build at.
But when we went to look, we actually went to look at a short sale home.
She did.
A pre-existing short sale.
I still say she had she formulated that. She's like, we're going to go look at this short sale, but we're also going to talk to the agent.
Because they told us they told me we had to. And so we went to the development, we saw the short sale home, and then we ended up talking to the sales agent, and I mean, the prices were very similar for what the short sale was versus the new construction. So we ended up going with new construction. And that's really, that's our first home. That happened. We moved in there in 2018. We loved that home. Long story short, we had a baby in 2020, and we sold our home, signed a contract for another new construction, and 2022, here we are.
Here we are. So how did we get here? That's kind of what we're going to get into in this video, kind of give you guys a little bit of tips and things that we learned throughout the process of buying our first home, and then using those tips to buy our second home.
So the first tip that we want to talk about is, which I think is the most important tip, is figuring out your budget. Obviously, budget is the most important. You want to be able to get a home that you can afford and that you're going to be comfortable in. So I think budget has a lot of things surrounding it. Firstly, being your credit score.
Yeah, your credit score definitely is a determining factor, but it's not the end all be all. It's going to help you with things like your PMI, how much of a down payment you need.
What is PMI?
Private mortgage insurance.
Your private mortgage insurance. So the higher your credit score, the lower your private mortgage insurance payment will be, which that all goes into your mortgage payment. So you can have a $600 a month private mortgage insurance payment. You can have a $400 a month private mortgage insurance payment. So if it's only $400 versus $600, that takes your entire mortgage payment down by $200.
But I don't want that to be, I don't want you guys to get discouraged if you got a lower credit score. And these are things that your agent will talk to you about throughout the process. Like, you know, hey, if we can get your credit score up 30 or 40 points before you actually sign your contract, you can probably lower your mortgage payment a little bit. And that type of stuff only lasts for the first 5 years of your most loan agreements. So that's one thing to consider. But getting back in the budget, I will say I was the offender when it came to budget. I had this set number in my head. Like, I didn't want to spend more than $130,000 on a home.
I don't know where you thought we was going to
I pulled that number out. I just thought that was a really comfortable number. I knew that the mortgage would be cheaper, but I didn't really know what a $130,000 mortgage got you.
So once you're ready for the home buying process, you already know, depending on the interest rate, you already know what your monthly payment will be. So you can go ahead and you can calculate all that stuff before you get started. And that way, once you start looking, you're ready to hit the ground running.
So rule of thumb is 30% of your pre-tax income is what you should be using as far as your mortgage payment. That's the max amount that you really want to be in order to be comfortable. You don't want to be house poor. Nobody wants to be house poor. You still want to be able to buy this home and be able to do the things that you want to do to be able to have a normal life.
And that number also depends on how many debts you have. If you're paying $2,000 a month in student loans, that number should be lowered.
Right.
So you have to think about how many debts you personally have, how much credit card debt, how much you're paying in car payments, student loan payments, everything that you have. You need to make sure that you're sitting down and really writing all of that down and crunching the numbers and seeing what is comfortable for you. Because even if they pre-approve you for a $500,000 loan, and technically it's in your budget, and technically you can pay it, if you have all of these other debts coming from other places, and that's not a comfortable number for you, that's not a good mortgage payment for you.
Yeah, because your agent doesn't know your budget. All they know is they see your income, they see what's coming in, they see like, okay, based on this is what you can afford. But you know your spending habits, you know your debts, you know all the stuff that you're paying on.
You know you like to travel,
right?
You know all of that. And so you want to make sure that you are, again, crunching those numbers yourself, not letting your lender do it, not letting your real estate agent do it. You do it and make sure that it is a comfortable number for you. And another good tip with that is to maybe for a few months, try to live off of that number. So maybe put aside whatever you think that mortgage payment is going to be. If you think that that's $1,500 a month. Put aside $1,500 a month, and so say your rent is $1,200. Put aside that extra $300 a month, and still continue to live, and see how comfortable that feels for you.
And that can help with your down payment. Putting that extra money to your savings and help with your down payment when you come to actually purchasing your home.
Absolutely.
To hit on real fast, to hit on like that $150,000 number that I took out the air. So when you get into your numbers, and that's also basing it off of a 15-year loan or a 30-year loan, and again that depends on you and what you want to do in the grand scheme of things. But seeing like when I got the $150,000 number, and I come to find out that's only like a $800 mortgage payment, and I'm like, we can afford more than $800 a month. So, and then once I seen that number, like, oh, $200,000, that's like a little over $1,200 a month, and so on and so forth. So that big number, which is the grand scheme of buying a home versus what that actual mortgage payment is going to be, is a big factor. I feel like that plays into when you're going to buy a home.
Know your monthly number, so what you're comfortable with paying monthly, and I think that is more important than how expensive the overall house is. The house could be $500,000, but if somehow you got a mortgage payment for $2,000 a month and that's comfortable for you, that's fine, you know what I mean? So know the monthly number.
Yeah, like I said, again, that goes into that 15, 30, how quick you want to pay the home off. But again, that, you know what I'm saying, what you're comfortable with, that goes back to what we were just talking about, making sure you're comfortable with that number.
Mm-hmm. Last point I want to bring up about your, home budget, something that we do that I think is a great practice is to, whatever your mortgage payment is, make sure, if you have a 2-income household, make sure that mortgage payment can be paid with only one person's income. Because if something happens to one of your incomes, then at least you will still have a house. You may have to get rid of that cable, may have to, turn down that heat a little bit.
Dial back some
but at least you'll still have a roof over your head.
Not as much Amazon Prime.
So that's something that we did when we did calculate our mortgage. We made sure that one person can at least cover the mortgage. And then again, if something happens to the other person's income, then we know that we'll still have a home.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see us talk about more budget stuff, I know this is a home buying video and first purchasing tips, but if you guys want to see us hitting on more budget stuff, let us know down below some of the stuff that you want us to tackle, and we will make sure to address that in a future video.
Mm-hmm. So right after budget, the next thing you want to do is figure out your must-have list. All right, what do you have to have in a home? What would be nice to have in a home? And what are you like, I could take that or leave it?
Right. I feel like this list is if you're in a relationship, you're married or dating, this list varies, and her must-have list versus your must-have list it's gonna be different. You guys gotta have a conversation off of that, because my must-have list was pretty short. Her must-have list, on the other hand,
I'll tell you, when I used to watch, I was a big watcher of HGTV, right? So I would watch stuff like Love It or Listed. I know a lot of y'all watch Love It or Listed because we talked about it, and other shows like that, House Hunters, and I would watch those shows and I'd be like, man, those people tripping. That house is beautiful. It's nice. It would be like little things that would make people move. But I will tell you, when you are in your home day in and day out, you start to understand, because those little things become big things. Yeah, those little inconveniences just become big things. So when you're in whatever house you're in, if you're in a rental, if you're already in a home and you're going to buy another home, think about those little things about your home that inconvenience you. Maybe you thought a detached garage would be okay. You're like, I don't care if it's detached. But then once you get in the home, you realize how convenient it is to have an attached garage, and you're like, shit, I wish we would have gotten an attached garage. Those little things make a difference. So really sit down and think about those things that you really want in your home. Write them down, and damn it, get what you want.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's funny, because I remember when we were renting our home, and one of the things that she said to me is like, I don't like how people open our door and they're just in our living room. And that made no sense to me at the time. I was like, what are you talking about? Like that
drove me insane. So our front door, it was the house we were in when we actually started this channel in 2017. And so our front door was in the living room. So literally when someone came in the house, they were just in our living room. There was no little like foyer area, nothing. It was just open the door, that's our living room. And
most people came through the side door.
It doesn't matter.
But
that annoyed the hell out of me. And I was like, I never want to live in a house where you open the door and you're in our front door or in our living room.
And I didn't get that at first until we bought our first home and we toured a home, and I was like, oh, this is I understand now. This makes sense. And I feel like another tip is kind of off of this is go to different homes, watch different videos, find out what you want, because you don't know like
what's out there
or what you want or what you are looking for until you actually experience some homes and you're like, oh, I do like that. I do like the fact that you're not in our living room when you first step in the door. I do like the fact that I got a closet in the front room and a closet in the back and something when I walk in the garage. I do like the fact that, I don't know, it's just like little stuff, because especially if you've only lived in a couple of homes, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep. Another thing I said to him, which he thought was weird. So there was another rental we had before that one, and when you walked in the back door, there was just so many choices of places you could go. It was like you walk in the back door, the basement door was here, the kitchen was to the left, the living room was straight, the upstairs was right there, and it was so much, and it was this little tiny little back hallway, but there were just so many options in this back hallway, and I know it sounds weird, but it drove me up the wall. Like you'd walk in, I'm like, you can, like, the basement door's here, the stairs are here, the kitchen's here, the living room's here. It was insane, and it drove me insane. And I was like, I never want to live in a house where there's that many options off the back door, off any door. Why is this here? This is ridiculous. Who designed this home?
Very true. Very true.
Like little stuff like that, you don't think about when you're like walking, until you have to experience it. You really don't think about it like when you're touring the home. Like when we first saw that home and we rented it, we were like, oh, this is nice, this is cool. And it never dawned on me that little stuff like that would irritate me, but it does. So really take stock of the home you're in, and take stock of the homes that you're touring and you're potentially going to buy, and see if you can identify some of those little things that may just drive you insane.
Yeah, walk around without the agent. Maybe the person who was showing you the tour, they're not gonna talk about that little stuff. You gotta feel that type of stuff out and really know, like, how much is this really gonna irritate me or not. Another thing is like we was talking about that list. Big thing for us and most families out there with multiple kids is storage. That's our hit home point. Like any home we move into, it's got to have some storage.
I could take a smaller bedroom with a bigger closet versus a massive bedroom with a tiny closet.
And that's what we did here. We actually we downsized our bedroom, but we got she didn't get as big of a closet upstairs, but we got a whole extra bedroom, and we got storage in our attic. We got attic storage. We got basement storage. We got back room storage. Storage is a big deal for us.
Absolutely.
So being able to have things to put, that's just a little insight on us. What's one of our buttons when we go walking around and looking at homes.
So those are really important factors that, again, just take stock of the home you're in, take stock of what you want versus what you really need. Also think about your future needs. So if you're moving into a home, we didn't quite do that. I think we did, but we were a little too optimistic when we talked about it. So when we moved into our last home, it was a 3-bedroom home with a loft. Y'all remember that house? Go back and look at the home tour.
We could have made it work.
We probably could have made it work with some work inside, but I mean, it was just, in my mind, it was easier just to get a bigger home. So it was a 3-bedroom home with a loft. We had 3 kids at the time, so it worked. But then MJ came along, and almost immediately after we started getting his stuff in the house, it was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Like before he even got there, it was just kind of like, this ain't gonna work. Once we started seeing like all the stuff that the baby had, not that we didn't know, but once it got in the house, it was just more apparent. And we were in that house for only 2 years at that point. And we got out of the house with MJ, or out of the hospital with MJ on Mother's Day, Sunday, May 10th, May 11th, we signed the contract for a new home. So we didn't really think toward the future. We knew we wanted to have another baby, but we kicked
it around.
Yes. So think about your future family's needs. If you only have one kid right now and you're like, man, we want to add 2 more, think about if you need a 3-bedroom home or a 4-bedroom home and versus just what you need right now.
And I would say this last thing before we get off of this topic is know if this is going to be, if you're buying, and not that your mindset won't change, but is this my first home and my last home, or is this my forever home? Because that mindset what she was just talking about is big. Because if you know this is not your last home, then that's cool. Go into it like, all right, well, I like this home. This is my starter home. I'm gonna use this to get settled, and then I'll eventually get what I really, really want. Or if you buying a home and you like, because we got neighbors who across the street from us who have no kids, but they got it's like a 4-bedroom house and they have no kids, but they know, and eventually, I'm assuming that they want kids. Right. So that's why they buy a house of that size, because they know down the line, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And they're going to be here for a while.
So just think about your future needs. That's where we'll leave that.
So a big question we get asked all the time from anybody who knows that we've built a home is, what made you build, and why did you build versus just buying a house? And I feel like that question has a couple of layers, for the fact that, one, where we decided to build at versus the houses in that area, it just made more sense for us to build.
When I tell you, I did a lot of research. I mean, I was on Zillow, on Redfin. I was on all of those every single day. And as I started to look at the pre-existing houses that came through, they were pretty much the same price as it was to do a new build. On top of that, they were older homes, so you never know what's behind the walls. They were
didn't have finished
basements. They needed work, and to bring it, some of them were, I mean, they were fine. They were like move-in ready, but to bring it up to what I wanted, they were going to need work. And so in my mind, it was just easier to buy new construction. And then I had friends who bought houses like the year before us. Both of them, they had to redo their entire basement the year they moved in because their basements flooded. And they were older homes that they bought. And that scared me to death. And it just, it just made the most sense for us to build.
I feel like a big thing with that, because I don't want to steer you guys towards new construction. I'm not saying that you can't buy a pre-existing home, because there are great pre-existing homes out there. I think a big thing that goes into that factor when you factor in new construction versus buying a pre-existing home is the area. Like, what area are you buying in? Does it the neighborhood? Does it make? Are you getting a $300,000 house that's pre-existing and it's got mostly everything you need, but it's in a really nice neighborhood, versus in that same really nice neighborhood, the house is $500,000. Like, It's like, oh, I can live with this $300,000 house for this neighborhood and put that extra $200,000
into it over time.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to go into the mortgage. That's the thing with the new construction. Everything's going to go into your mortgage, obviously. But if you find a home that's $100,000 less, you can pay for that stuff over time as you save up money. You can do one project at a time. So maybe the house you find. Here now. You're right. We're still, and not to say that new construction is project free, because, and maybe some is, but in our home, there's a lot of new construction I see, people don't get the finished basements because that costs money. That was like an extra 20-something grand.
Yeah, $25,000.
Yeah, that was an extra $25,000 just for them to finish the basement. But we knew that was something that we valued and we needed. So you need to know your values going in,
that goes
and
back
what's
to
important. Your must-have list, and what's important to you and what's important to your family. We knew a finished basement was necessary right off the bat, right? But for some people, say it's just you and your spouse and you're like, we'll have kids later and we really don't need all that space right now, maybe you can do the finished basement later and you don't have to roll that into a mortgage payment. You can save up and pay for that out of pocket. So little things like that you can think about.
Yeah, the new I feel like we've never, I'm not gonna lie to you, we've never bought a pre-existing home, so we can't tell you the bad. We've heard some horror stories about pre-existing homes, but we haven't done one. And as part of the horror stories that we've heard, this is the reason why we've done new construction. It's because of the fact that we got a warranty on our roof, we got a warranty on our basement, flooding protection, things like that was built into the fact that why we did new construction versus pre-existing. Because a lot of that stuff sometimes, depending on the homeowner who's selling it, it's kind of like as is. You buy it, you did your inspection, it messes up in a year, you stuck with it.
Yeah, which sucks. Sucks. But we love our new construction. I think at this point we prefer new construction. I feel like it would be really hard to go to a pre-existing home. To quote CC,
I will never live in a house that somebody else ever lived in.
It is. I feel like it's gonna be hard to go back after having 2 new homes, but yeah, those are. I guess those are our thoughts. I think you just, again, going back to the must-have list. What do you value? Going back to the must-have list and the budget.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 most important things when it comes to buying your first home. Is what must I have here? Is this my? I should say 3. What must I have here? What can I live without? Is this my forever home, or is this just my starter home? And can I afford this home?
Or how much home can I afford? Can I realistically afford? Stop listening to those online calculators.
Yeah.
We weren't making no money. They told me I could afford a $600,000 home. Like, it was like 8 years ago. They told me I could afford a $600,000 home. I was like, y'all lie. And y'all know it.
So that is going to wrap up this video. We really have fun when we sit down, and we love talking about our process and giving our experience and our knowledge out there, because I feel like this is the stuff we didn't have when we went to go buy our first home. We didn't have this insight or somebody giving us this information. So we love sharing this stuff.
Absolutely. So if you guys have other questions regarding the home buying process, again, regarding our budget, we already have some great budget videos planned. But if you guys have any more specific questions, make sure you leave them down below in the comment section, and also give this video a thumbs up. And again, share it with someone who you think could use it.
So that is going to do it for this video. Again, we really appreciate every one of you guys out there. And until the next video, it is Mr. and Mrs. Bradley checking out. Peace.